Okay, welcome. So I have a bunch of new faces here today, which is very exciting for me. Love having new faces in my classes. And some repeat regular attenders, which is always wonderful. And so the goal that I have when I do this is I don't specifically have a set agenda because it entirely depends on what your questions are and what level you're at and making sure that I give you actual technical stuff to go away from, okay? So there's a couple of different things, I guess, to start would be, first of all, who is using Dotloop on an iPad and who is using it on a computer primarily? Computer.
My iPads too.
Okay, so, and on the computers are using PC or Mac? PC? Okay, so when you're on iPads, you're in an Apple world, and when you're on your computers, in most cases, you're in Microsoft world, right? Okay, so for those of you that have taken a tech course with me before, I will just remind you that I know nothing about Microsoft. Erin is here to help, to answer the questions for when I completely don't know what I'm talking about. I'm saying, oh, can you drag that? And she goes, no, I can't do that. So I'll try and make sure that I address those issues. So a couple of quick things I'm just going to cover to begin with is I'm going to try and show you some different things. Whenever I do tech training, we have our Dotloop account set up so that everybody in the team is a part of it, so they get a lot of notifications all of a sudden coming through because as I'm doing fake documents, they get the notifications on their devices that things are being signed, and that's nothing to do with that. So the first thing I want to make sure that everybody knows is that when you're using it on your iPad, you must download the app. Okay? It is functionally meant to be in the app format and not used in Safari on your iPad. Okay? And I will explain that. So the one big thing is that when you're using it on an iPad, and I don't know what people know about iPads or don't know, I'm certainly not a massively technical expert. However, the easiest way to explain it is an iPad does not have a desktop. So when you go to open something in your email, it always asks you to open it in something, right? Open it in Mail, open it in Pages, open it in Adobe Reader, open it in PDF Expert, open it in something.
A document you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it has to open in an app, okay? Because there's no like central place to dump it. There's nothing in behind the apps. So you want to be using the app. It's a free app, so please download it. There are two things that you will do in Safari on your iPad that you cannot do in the app, and I'll try and show you those things today as well. And at some point, what I'll end up doing is potentially unhooking my Mac so that you're seeing that screen, and in theory, hooking my iPad up so you can see that screen, so you can see the difference. Okay? Any questions so far? So in terms of functionality, who here is, what I would say, considers himself pretty comfortable with Dotloop? 1, 2.
On my computer I am, definitely not on.
Okay, so 2.5 we're gonna. Okay, so let's. Okay, didn't show up there. So let's start with some introductory stuff. For those of you that are more in depth, I apologize if it's a little bit of a review. Hopefully there'll be something new that will come from that, and then we'll move at progress through different pieces. This is meant to be completely interactive, so if you do have questions as we go, please stop me. I don't want to barrel through something. One thing that is very important for you to know before we go forward is there are 2 resources outside of KW 9 to 5 that are available to you when you're using Dotloop. Number 1, well 3, because people call me at night, so you can call me, I'll answer what I can answer, but depending on what your specific technical issue is, I may not have the answer to it. So with respect to access to troubleshooting, there's a call line that you can call in Dotloop, and I'm going to show you where to find that and how to get a hold of them. They are fantastic. When you give them this number that I'm going to show you, they can actually get into your loops and see exactly what's happening and walk you through a solution and or fix something for you, okay? So they have really good hours, I think, don't they?
Not sure.
Okay, so they're pretty good, right?
They're fast too.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go to dot loop. I'm going to I pull this on the side, Erin, is that what I do? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's not working.
Okay, well, you can see it again.
Okay, well, I'm going to shrink this for now because it's in my way. So I'm going to go into dot loop, and I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to sign in. So is there anybody here other than Allison that's in a team? John, you're in a team. So I'm going to give you just a quick suggestion. It has changed our world as a team using dot loop. Or if you consistently work with someone for a period of time. We used to have, Chelsea had an account, I had an account, Richard had an account. I would do a deal, half the deal was in my loop, half the deal was in his loop. It was like the amendment was in one, but then it was sent over here, and the counteroffer was in this, and we had a bunch of stuff in a bunch of different loops, and it was very frustrating. So what we ended up doing was creating one dot loop account for us, and everybody receives it and gets notified. So we're able to communicate without communicating, because Roy, for example, who's a member of the team, he gets a message on his phone that tells him that the document was signed, so he already knows that it was there and everybody knows what's happening. So when you go into your dot loop, so some basics. So first thing that when we're looking at this, and I'll get you the number first. So when you go under your logo at the top, that's where you would insert your photo under your account. Okay, so I'll show you that in a second. But what happens is you'll see there's a call support. Now it's not a 1-800 number, but they're not going to keep you on the phone for very long. So it's a perfectly legitimate business expense to be on the phone for 5 minutes so you can get your deal done. Okay, so the number that's underneath there where it says ID number, in my case it says 213-03997. When I give them that, they'll ask you for that number. That is what takes them into my loops. And so then they're in your loops at the same time as you are, and are able to see what's happening and help you and walk you through it and fix stuff.
So obviously everybody has different ID.
Yes. Okay. So to me, that's a very important starting point of knowing what else you have in terms of help. The other thing is on the, I'm just going to open up another window, is on our Weebly site. Does everybody know about our Weebly site? Blank stares in some cases. So it's the KW Select Weebly. Erin can send you the link if you don't know it. And the password is profit share. It's a very secret, complex system we have here. And you log in. This is the KW intranet, which is basically like our mini storage place for things we think you should know. So on here, go away with my passwords. So on here, you've got market center documents, broker memos, Brookfield relocation stuff, the duty schedule, the call list, all that kind of jazz is in here. And as soon as anything changes, Erin automatically updates this. So the most current of anything is on here. There's also like the agent tour schedule. So for example, you're going to a listing and you're saying, well, I'd like to put you on the agent tour, and you're trying to think of when that's going to be. The list is there as it changes. Now it does change from time to time, but generally speaking. The office calendar with your training calendars there, marketing and advertising, logos, all that stuff. Suppliers are all there. Training. So there's information there on the various things, but here under the dot loop manual, which is something that I'm a paper girl, so I have it printed in my office. It is fantastic. It is a point-by-point lookup, very easy manual. It's probably the most easy technical manual I've ever had to read, because I have no patience to read a technical manual. So I'll just show you here what it looks like, just so you can get a feel for it. So it's like advanced, like how to do a task, how to add people. So it's very simple and user-friendly for you guys as a resource at 11 o'clock at night when you're freaking out and not quite sure what to do and you're in a rush, okay? So please use that. You can save it on your devices. I'll just show you an example of when they show you how to do something, they actually have screenshots in the manual. So it's really easy. And it doesn't matter what device you're on, it's going to look the same. Dotloop is brilliant at keeping itself consistent from one operating system to devices, to iPads, to phones. It doesn't make any difference. The answer is going to be the same. Okay? So I want you to know that you have that resource available. Does that mean who's me?
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I have a lot of devices in here, so it could be me ringing. So I wanted you to know that that was there because it is very user-friendly, and it's certainly a good place to take your business in terms of looking at other things. One of the things is that you guys have what's called a premium membership, which means it's red. When you don't have a premium membership, it's blue. So when you're in the manual and it's talking about options that you have in the premium package, you have them. So basically, if Dotloop does it and it exists, you have access to it. Okay? You know when you have like an app on your phone, you can get the free version or you can get the big version? You got the big version, okay? With all the bells and whistles that are in there, okay? So just to go back to some basics. So the first thing is that when you're dealing with your Dotloop account, there's a bunch of stuff happening at the top. I'm just gonna try and cover over some of the clutter so you don't have to look at all that mess on my desktop that Chelsea yells at me about. I'm going to talk about that right now. So first thing is, depending on how you are visually, you can look at your loops this way in a list, or you can click on the circle-y thing with the dots in it on the top right over here, and it'll switch to this view.
Oh, can you do that again?
Yes. So if you see right here, hang on, let me grab my mic. Right here it says switch to list view. And it'll say to show it in lines, or if you click, so right now, if I click and switch it to list view, then it comes up in a list that way. And then the opposite is, if you see how it's a box, that's your grid option. So you can switch how you want to look at it based on what you like.
Yeah.
Okay? Because sometimes the circles are like overwhelming. Okay, so some basics. So in your top circle thing, so we have our DeSilva logo is what we have there versus one of our faces, because it's everybody's face is why we have the logo. So when I click in here, right down at the bottom here, it's hard to see because it's gray, light gray on this big screen. It says My Account. Okay, so when you click on that, it's going to take you into the profile preferences for your account. So this is where you can upload your photo. So if you've received them where you've received a Dotloop notification from somebody probably, and it'll have that person's cute little face in the little circle and say, Christiane has shared a document with you, requires immediate attention, right? Because the face is there. I really recommend that you upload a photo, because if your clients are worried that this is spam, when they see your face in the email message, they're less suspicious that it's some weird thing. Does that make sense? So this is where you would upload your photo, is under the account preferences. Then you're going to add, your basic stuff, your address, your phone number, your et cetera, because that information shows up in your profile when the clients look at you. The other thing that I think is important is the notifications, and most people don't realize they have some control over this. We have all of our notifications turned on because we want to receive notifications as every step of the document happens with our clients. So it will show us when the signature is required for myself. It'll show when the document has been successfully shared. So let's say, for example, Roy shares a document with one of our clients. It'll show up, it'll notify saying, such and such has been shared. Or I have received a document, so-and-so has just shared a document with you. And it pops up as a notification on my phone so that I'm not having to check my email constantly wondering what's happening with my deal. We have message received as another one. So basically, anything that happens in it. Compliance status of a loop is updated is one of the ones that's listed right here. So the first one says document shared. documents signed. So when you have a couple, this is very, very helpful. So if you've sent out a document to Christiane and Larry are now a couple, and it'll say Christiane has now signed document, the counteroffer, blah, blah. Christiane has now signed the agreement for purchase and sale. Christiane has now signed the PCS. It'll tell me, if I've made them individual documents, it'll tell me everything she signed. But I will know that Larry hasn't signed.
Right.
So then I know I need to stop Larry. I can say, is there a problem? Like, did you get it? Like, whatever. If I, give them a certain amount of time, depending on the circumstances. But you know right away where you're at. Okay. So it's very, very helpful to have those on. So the compliance status, that means who's done what in terms of completing the document is what they're talking about. So that's where it says so-and-so has signed. My office adds a tag. So if somebody sends something and it adds that, it'll let me know. Partner activity report, task, reminders. So we can also set up tasks, and we'll talk about that in a very light manner today because it's its own topic. But we'll talk a little bit about that. So long and short of it is that we have everything turned on. It is entirely your choice how you choose to manage your business, your notifications, and what you want. Okay, so that's all in there, and that's where you control it. So if we go back up to the top of this page, you're going to see that's the profile under settings. This is the summary of what we've just talked about. Document preferences. This is basically like your font and whatever, in case you really care about what that is. I've never bothered because I don't care, but some people care, so it's there if you want to change it.
Grumpy Wizards make toxic group with Evil Queen and Jack. Oh my goodness.
Yes, so if I want to change the font, it would look like this. If I wanted to change it to that, it would look like this.
That has every letter. Oh, is that right?
Yes. Okay, so you can change your font size, etc., of what you're communicating. Not a high on the priority list of .loop skills. We're going to move on, okay? So your taskbar at the top, this is your world. It's controlled by what's going on up there, okay? So it's very similar to, Paragon or any of the new web programs that are honestly designed for us to be 5 years old and be able to hopefully figure out what they're talking about, right? So the little person is about your people. The check mark is your to-dos. So they've tried to make it very user-friendly for everybody. So your dashboard is it shows what you've tracked and what you've done and that type of thing. I'll be perfectly honest, very few people use this as that purpose, but it is there. So your loops, again, we've shown quickly where those are and how to change the view of them. Your tasks, if you have tasks set up, we're going to come back to that because, again, it's not a super high priority in terms of functionality. The other one is the people. So any people that you have added. So you can add trusted service providers. So you can click in here and put people in your category so that you readily have this sort of directory of providers in your .loop to share the documents with. Yes?
The last time I sent an amendment to a client, I was messing around with, so I added one mortgage specialist in there, and his picture was showing up when I was sending that. Does my client see that?
The other person's picture? That I don't know.
Because he wasn't using that mortgage specialist, so I didn't want him to think I was trying to push.
Yeah, I would say my honest answer is I don't actually have a clue, so I'm not going to make it up.
So why did that picture go with that loop?
Because that person probably had a loop. They probably connected. They have an account, so it's pulling from that email address.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I would do a test like internally with somebody, share a document with Aaron, and add a person and see. And if someone can let me know, that'd be great, right? We can maybe try that today if we have time. Okay. So that's where those people are. And then your contacts, which is the next drop. So these are not your contacts that have populated from your phone or anything else. These are contacts that you have entered in the creation of doing loops. Yes.
Because our accounts are connected to our office, they're also connected to our eEdge.
Yes.
So your eEdge contacts can be in here, and when you use .loop, if you add someone new, they will automatically become a contact in your eEdge contacts.
My eEdge contacts aren't in here. but not that I care, but just.
Yeah,
When
we
you
don't, yeah.
when you put someone new in Dotloop, if they're not in your edge, they'll be created in your edge.
That is excellent new information. Thank you. I learned something new today too. So as you've created documents for people, or sometimes you have someone who has more than one email address, they might have a work one you send at certain times, or they can't get at that at night, so you send them to another one. You can have,
KW Halifax versus KW Com.
Yeah.
That's getting to the point where it's getting mixed up.
less and less. The transition's actually gone very well, considering we had so many people switch. But it's more about like clients, like maybe who are on like forces.gc.ca. You're not going to be able to dot loop into that email. The firewalls will stop it. Okay. Yeah, they won't make through. It won't make it the email notification. They can log in, but they won't get the notification.
So would that be for teachers too then? Is that all government or?
No, my teachers have been okay, but
Yeah, 'cause
forces.
they go to a different
Yeah, HRSB I've been okay with. Forces I've not been okay with.
So, sorry, you said that they will get the loop and they can sign it, but we won't get the notification? Or
No,
they can't
they won't
just-
get the email, like they won't get the notification that it's coming, it's firewalled out. And depending on where they work and what kind of a secure environment, some government military departments don't even allow them on Facebook. Like they can't go on the internet and to do certain things, like they're locked. So they can't log into .loop. So it depends on what it is, right? So in those cases, you want to send it through a Gmail account because then they can link it in that way. So you just have to be prepared that when you have a client that works in some kind of a secure environment, if they work for Lockheed Martin or some of those companies where security, national security and things like that are tighter, you just might want to have a backup plan in terms of another email address. Or it'll go to their phones, okay, and they can sign it on their phone at lunch or whatever, if their computer won't let them do it.
Yeah.
Does that help everybody? Okay. So anyway, your contacts are in here, and then your templates are here. So we're going to focus on like the meat and potatoes for now, which is functioning within your loops. So I'm going to create a new loop. And so I'm going to go back to the grid view because it's the easiest one to teach on. So could anybody tell me where they think I might go to start a new loop?
Plus sign. That big plus
The big
sign?
plus sign. You laugh, but I've had some blank stares before, so I'm not trying to be condescending. It's just the reality that some people aren't sure. So you click here to start a new loop, and this is what's going to come up. Is there any way to make that like darker or?
It's just how Dotloop is.
Okay, so it says a loop is a workspace for your transactions and projects. Yeah, blah blah blah. You need to name it. I am going to highly recommend, and you can do what you want, that you name it the street address, not the client's name. If you have buyers and sellers who are the same people and you put their names in, you're going to have the wrong stuff in the wrong loops, and you could potentially share a document with the wrong people. You can also have deals with people who the deal falls apart on X property, and now you're writing again with those people. You don't want that stuff mixed in with the other one. Okay, so I always recommend that you do it as a street. So I'm going to call it 1, 2, 3 test street. And I'm going to click create loop. So now I have the blank template that I'm going to start my file. So there's a couple of categories in here that are important. So the first thing that I would recommend that you do when you start is to go to the people section and deal with your people. Okay? It's very frustrating when you start getting through editing all your documents and realize you haven't added your person and it won't let you tag them and assign the field. It's way easier to start that way and then do your actual documents. You'll be less agitated. Okay? And my goal in life is to try, I don't believe it necessarily, but it's actually not to agitate. So when you go to add your people, so a very, very important thing you need to know, where it says right here, admin for Keller Williams Realty. That is not sales, that is not listings. That is admin in the sense of Erin's ability to create accounts and manage profiles. If you share something with admin, it's going into a bottomless cyberspace pit. we will never see it. Okay? You need to add sales and listings as individual people if you want to share your documents with the office through Dotloop.
So, stupid question, but when it asks for a last name, just put sales, doesn't matter what.
I would just put listings Halifax maybe as your,
Okay,
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sales, Keller.
makes no difference.
okay.
It's just internal, so it doesn't matter. You do have to put something, right, but you can wing it. It's a very official answer, just wing it, you know, just. So you're gonna add sales at listingshalifax.com and you're gonna add listings at kwhalifax.com. Because otherwise, sharing it with admin, might as well send it to the moon, because we're never gonna see it. Okay, so that's, to me, number one important thing for you to know, okay? So the second thing is, and I can't do it with Roy because you're in my loop. Allison, I'm gonna borrow you as my test person to be signing things with, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click add person. Okay, so when we go to add person, it says add people to collaborate with. Don't worry, no one can see who you invite. So the people in the loop only see what they see. They don't see everybody else. Okay? So it asks for the full name of the person. Are we two L's, Allison?
Yes.
Godsoe?
Yep.
And what are you?
Allison Gatto at KW.com.
Oops. Okay, so it will not let you add a person without assigning a role. You cannot go any further without giving this person a job title. You will be frozen. So when you click on role, it's going to give you a drop-down menu of a variety of different choices. Buying broker, inspector, property manager, listing broker, seller, admin. So you might categorize sales as your admin. Okay. Most often we're seeing, listing agent, buying agent, buyer, seller. Those are the ones we're picking the most. So I'm going to make Allison my buyer. Okay. And now you can click over here at send intro email. I'll be honest, I've never done that because they get this weird email that goes, hi, Ann DeSilva or the Silva's group has just invited you to Dotloop. And they go, I don't know what that means. What do I do? Oh my God. Right. So I tend to wait and write a message with the first document I send. Personally, you can do it that way. I'm not telling you not to. I don't really want to send them extra stuff. Okay. So I'm going to add the person. Now, clicking the add to my team, you can add admin, you can add sales as add to your team, and you can add listings as add to your team. But you should never add somebody who you do not want to have full visual access of everything that's happening in your loop. They get to see everything. They get to see your messages, they get to see your log, they get to see the whole kit and caboodle. So never ever add an agent on the opposite side to your team, despite however happy your moment is with this agent. Okay? They are not on your team because you just gave them a massive amount of confidential information. Okay? Please don't do that. So Allison is my person. Now I might potentially start adding in the competing agent that I'm dealing with right away so that I already have them to be able to share it, right? So I might put Mary Smith in at Remax, blah, blah, blah. She's the listing agent and, I can click that in so I'm ready to go when I have my documents ready. Does that work for everybody? Okay, so then you have tasks. We're not going to talk about that right now because it will overwhelm you. It overwhelms me half the time, so we're going to come back to that. Does anybody have any questions so far?
I do.
Yeah.
I've had it work put in the wrong email address.
Yes.
And so of course it didn't get where it's supposed to go.
Right.
And I went back in to try and change it and I couldn't.
Okay, you can change it, but you have to redo your documents.
I basically, have to reload everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you are tampering with a document that is in secure signature mode.
Okay.
That's why.
You gotta start over. Obviously what I did was right then. It's the only way to do it.
That is the only way to do it.
Reload it.
Because the idea is that somebody can't go in and fiddle with it.
Right.
Right? These are like documents that are locked in a vault and they are tamper-proof. You can't edit them once you start. So once you've shared it and you try to then go back and correct the address, it doesn't work.
So then when I reload everything.
Yeah.
And put in the correct, trying to remember, cause then
I'll give you a trick.
it's the seller again or something, and I can't remember if it let me do that or
Okay, so
not.
there's a trick around that, and so we'll see this in a second, but I'll just talk it out and then hopefully it'll make sense to you. I've run into that myself personally and gone, okay, I'm agitated now. Like,
Well, you
I'm getting cranky, because I'm normally doing it at the last minute, and it might be late, and I might be rushed, and I, might be,
Tired.
but I'm just saying. So, because we're all trading in real estate when we're driving, we're not talking about that. So one of the easiest ways to do it is when you go to add the person again,
Right,
put their middle name in,
if they have one.
or an initial, or do, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can sometimes play with it a little bit that way.
Okay.
But you can create a second profile entirely, even with the same name with a different address.
Okay.
The thing that you have, and then what you would do is go in and delete that other contact after
The wrong email.
the wrong email. Just delete the contact
So where do you go to?
in contacts.
In
You go to
contacts,
contacts. Yeah. It does happen, but the short answer is there is no fast way around. You have to archive those documents and start again.
I did the same thing, thank you for asking that.
Yeah, like I just get so
I was getting
frustrated.
frustrated too.
Yeah,
Why do
but
I
you
have
Actually,
to
yeah.
do this?
But if you think about why,
Yeah, it makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
It's so that nobody can go in and fiddle around with it and then send it to somebody else, and because it's supposed to be tamper-proof. That's the point.
So the
I
wrong,
learned to look at the email
Very
more
carefully.
closely before I actually.
That's the other reason why if you do the contacts first, okay, and you have a chance to, like, you're not rushing, there's no documents pending, you do that first, you're more likely to be correct. When you're trying to share the document, there's something about that box popping up, going share now and typing it in, and you feel kind of like, I don't know what it is. It makes no sense
Little anxiety.
logically. You get a little anxious. When you start with your people and you mentally start taking a second to check it before, you will, I'll show you, I have one in here. We had one, his name's Corey Lorman. One of it, poor Roy, because he was helping on this while I was in the meeting. One of us, I don't know which one of us, had typed in the email wrong, and we had to fix it and reload it because one says Corey Lorman and one says Corey Lorman. Lorman is right, Lorman is wrong. Document it. Question?
well, I was just thinking, if it went to the wrong email address, but it was actually somebody's email address, could they open it?
Now, the odds are it's likely your address is wrong and it's going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? But you still can't resend that same document to
Yes, yeah, I
the
get
same
that part,
person
yeah.
without reloading.
I'm just
So
thinking about
that,
something.
like, what is that, measure twice, cut once, or whatever? Check your emails twice, share once. Okay, does this help you guys so far? You're good? Okay, so you've got your buyer, you've got tasks, we don't care about those right now. So then the next piece is to look at, you can go into your transaction type at the top here. And the advantage of categorizing it is when you have a lot of loops, it's easier to search once you've added its category. So if you click under select transaction type, our choices are purchase, listing for sale, listing for lease, lease, real estate, other, or other. So if you're doing listing documents, you might put under listing for sale. If you're doing an offer, you might put under purchase. So then if you're trying to find a loop and you're trying to search, you can search under that category. Because you can pull up just those categories in your filters. It's not a habit we have, it's a habit we have to adapt because we have too many loops in our loop. It sounds ridiculous, but we have too many loops in our loop and we're doing a lot of scrolling.
Yeah.
Okay? And it would be a lot easier if we categorize them. Didn't think of it at first, now we'll start doing it.
You also cannot archive a loop until you've set a transaction type.
I've never archived a loop, so, but yes, you can. Yeah. I've archived files and folders, but I've
Lots
never,
of calls on how to archive loops.
okay. Because they don't want to see other stuff.
Because once they're done with it, they want it gone.
Clutter free.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
weird
you've seen
that
my
you can't
desktop,
do
we're
that.
not really
Like, you
worried
should
about
be able to
clutter
put
free
it
in my
in
world.
different folders.
Yeah.
Okay, so the transaction type, so archiving basically means it goes into nowhere cyberspace land. It's still available to pull back, but you don't have to look at it. They're like mud.
It's not one of those loops there, is what you're saying.
Right,
Like
it's there,
it's
you can
archived.
find it, and I'll show you how to
Yeah,
find it.
But it's just not
in your
sitting
face.
there, yeah.
Yes, so for those people that like, you know, to open up their computer and have nothing busy going on and a bunch of file folders, documents on their desktop, that might be great for you. I tend to I get yelled at by Chelsea because I slow down my computer. I have stuff sitting on my desktop. So I go and I select all and dump it into a folder. That's how I clean up my desktop. I'm just being honest. Okay, so let's say in this case we're a purchase because we made Allison a buyer. Okay? So your loop status also lets you tell it where it's at. So you can search and filter. So you've got it's pre-offer, under contract, sold, and archived.
We don't have to fill that in.
No, you don't have to fill any of these out unless you want to archive. But it's also just, again, it's more of a search tool ability,
Can
right?
you go in and select that later?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Now,
yes,
if you
sold
remember on
is-
the dashboard that I pulled up for like 2 seconds with that bar graph, that information is gonna come from there in terms of how many dollars and stuff are in those various statuses, if you care. Because it has to pull the data from somewhere. I have one giant number because it thinks everybody's, that's not how I use that thing. But it's there. And my job is not just to tell you what I do, but what is available, because lots of people are way more specific about certain things than I am, or, you know, they want, this is important to them and not to you, and something that's important to me is not important to them, et cetera.
So that was that yellow green.
Yes. That's where that data would come from. Okay? Any more questions so far? Okay. So the next thing is we might need some documents in here. Just gonna throw that out there. So I'm gonna go into documents, and I'm gonna go to the right, and I'm gonna click add document. Now, also you've got up here add folder. So I learned the hard way, please don't do what I did, where I would start an offer, and then I would have amendments come in, and PCS come in, and blah, blah, blah. I'd have like 30 documents in this one big giant folder. So we started creating folders at different stages of our transactions. So initially, the one folder, we typically don't name it. It's the offer, the WWR, the normal stuff you send out to get the ball rolling. And then if I have an amendment coming in on inspection with receipts and inspection reports, we will generally create our own another folder for that stage of the deal. And then as different things happen, it also can prevent you from accidentally sharing your entire folder of everything else that's in there. Because if you click folder and click share, you're sending everything that's in there.
You can't separate what you send.
You can, but if you click folder and click share, you select it all. So I'll give you an example. I'll show you a loop. No, that's not a good one. Bear with me a second. Okay, if you're trying to be in 2 profiles at one time, for example, you can't be in the same browser. So if you're sitting at a client's computer trying to sign and prepare things and have them sign on the computer, you need to open up 2 browser windows, or it will override the profile that's open. Does that make sense?
You need to have Google Chrome open
And Firefox.
Explorer.
And
Okay,
what?
so if I'm signing live with clients at their house and we're doing it on the computer, and I'm preparing the documents for, I need to, I want to have my profile open, I'm going to share it with them, and then they're going to log in and sign with me in front of me. You have to go into another
They have to
you have to log
a
into another,
different- oh, okay.
thing.
Because you're emailing to their email address.
Yeah, but it'll override the account.
You can't be in 2 Dotloop accounts at one
Yeah, but
time.
Anne, could you not do an in-person signing?
What?
What?
Oh, hold on, I didn't know you were there. Can you fill in that one? Okay, Kim.
Bye.
Could you do an in-person signing too?
Nice to see you.
Kim, what was your question, honey?
Can you do an in-person signing?
Can I do it today?
No, like why would you not do that instead of doing it?
You can, but yeah, but some people find that overwhelming. I'm just giving another option.
Oh, okay.
What was her question?
We're not about another skill. We're going to come back to that. Okay. Okay.
No,
So
I think she's asking if the client's in front of you, she's asking why can't you just do it manually instead
There's a feature in here called in-person signing.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
she's talking about. So we're gonna come back to that. So I'm just gonna go into .loop for a second because I'm gonna go into my previous profile.
So you're signing in under a different browser now, right?
Yes, now I'm in Safari.
Okay.
Okay, so when I go into my loops, this is what I'm talking about
Oh, yeah.
because I don't have them organized.
That was driving me crazy.
Yeah, I'm getting right on that. So I'll show you an example of a loop that had a lot going on in it. I could find it. Oh, here.
You need to send
Okay.
search and rescue all.
That's okay. So here is an example. I have the amendment in. So on this particular property, this particular client, the property condition disclosure statement had basement receipts and water receipts and contractor receipts and blah 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 blah. So when we sent that stuff over to the client, we created an actual folder for it to track that that stuff had gone on top of the actual deal, right?
Okay, so did you call it PCDS, et
Yes.
cetera?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your folder name, and in
Yes.
that folder are all those documents.
Yes.
And when you go send that folder,
Everything
they're
that's
getting
in here.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So that's why I'm saying, depending on what you're doing, it's sometimes worth creating folders because, where did my loop go that I just created?
In your other browsers.
I'm in my other browser.
Go ahead and stab it, didn't you?
I don't know what I did.
Your test one.
How about I just do it?
Do you have the filter turned off?
Do I have the filter turned off?
Go into filter.
I thought we had them all on. Clear all.
They're all.
Hmm?
When you want to check all.
Yes. Where's that? Oh, for the love of Pete. Oh, I know why. It's because I coded it and I never code mine. So we created buyer. Select all.
You didn't press filter. You didn't change it this time.
Oh, for the love of God.
Hearing you
Yeah,
so
press
good. You didn't do that, and you didn't do that.
It makes no sense. I was just in it. See, I'm such a great trainer that I've lost my loop.
Really? How do you lose the loop?
I just,
Maybe you didn't save any of it. Did you?
now I have no loops. One moment.
Yeah, I'd be panicking about sitting home right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
me too, me too, me
Go up to
too.
your smiley face and click on it.
I
I think I'll be starting all over
You
again.
need to check no status because you didn't give it status.
Yeah, do what Allison said, go up to your smiley thing there.
They're all gone. Just a minute.
Holy shit.
Just check off everything
yeah,
under
I
no
think-
status.
I'd be in a panic right now.
Oh, and check off not submitted because it's not submitted.
Oh.
Aaron, do you answer
Scary.
911 calls too?
I know.
Okay, but I still don't have my test I just did. I'm gonna log in. Didn't know what I did. Okay, it's very interesting that the loop I just created has just gone away.
Go back to filter.
What if you go to the contact thing that you put under contact, does that look come up? You put in Allison's name?
Like I literally,
Yeah, like in progress should raise something.
I've never seen this happen before. So, we'll all learn something together here.
I think you don't have the right filter turned on probably.
I don't have any left to not have turned on. Like, I literally have everything on. Small technical issue, people. I'll just. I have absolutely no idea where the loop just went.
It's in the archive.
Archived is showing.
I'm not in the same profile, so I don't know what to tell you. Okay, we're gonna have to create a new loop because I don't know where the heck it went.
So if we're at home and this happens, what do we do?
Do what I'm doing, create a new loop.
Start with
Okay.
I've never had this happen,
Yeah,
ever.
So you probably
Yeah,
would lose it if you've
sure.
already sent something though, right?
right. And a lot of times in the training classes, weird things happen because we're doing weird things. Like it's,
Not the way you normally function,
yeah,
right?
and it's all happening so fast. In real
Roy, when
life.
you log in, you don't see it, do you?
I just learned something new. When you're in grid view,
Yeah.
so all
Oh,
the
here it is.
circles-
Where did you find it? Activity log.
Activity log.
Where is activity? Oh, activity log.
Activity log.
Weren't you already up there? No?
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't find it before, but we found it again. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving back on.
So Aaron, what were you gonna say?
When you're in the grid view, so you see all the circles as loops, you cannot search loops, but when you're in the list view, you can search.
Okay.
Because I've always been frustrated that you can't search.
There you go. There we go. We're all just learning together. Okay, so let's go back to documents. Just where we started when we went sideways. So my apologies. Okay, so the first thing is you need to get your stuff in here. So number one, you can only upload PDFs. Period. Very important thing to know. Cannot open a Word document. Cannot open a JPEG. It must be in PDF format.
So you can scan it and turn it into a PDF though,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and depending on what your device is, you can turn a JPEG into a PDF, and there's lots of different ways to do it, but long and short of it is, the only thing you're bringing into .loop are PDFs. So if you're trying to do something and it's 11 o'clock at night, Derwin, and you're having a heart attack, maybe it's a Word document. Like it could be a finance letter you're sending
No,
over.
but Nova Scotia Power sends their costs in Excel.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
convert it to a
You have to
PDF.
convert it.
Convert it to a PDF.
Do you have to scan that to convert it? I know.
No.
How do you convert it?
Primo PDF, it's a lifesaver.
It would depend if you're on
But
a
you can
Mac.
also just press save as. Like if you're in the Excel file and you go to save as, and it opens that window to so you
So
can
after you
say
opened
where
it in your email,
Yeah.
you opened it in your email and then,
and
Open
you're
it in Excel.
yeah, right?
And you press save as.
Yeah.
And it opens that window so that you can say where you want to put it on your computer, so
Right.
if it's in documents or on your desktop.
Yeah.
And it will say at the bottom option will
So you
be
can save an
save
Excel
as
file?
an Excel file, but if you press that, it gives you other options.
Oh,
You
I
can
didn't
pick
know you could
PDF.
save an Excel file as PDF.
Yeah, you can in a Mac. I have no idea how to do it otherwise. Now I've just learned something.
Okay.
Primo PDF also, if you just Google Primo PDF, you can download the program and anything you print, you choose Primo PDF as your printer, and it turns everything
Oh,
into a
really?
PDF. It's awesome.
Okay, Primo, PRIMO?
Yeah.
PDF.
So
Sorry about that.
that's good. No, but that's important because you
Yeah.
need to be able to function. So it's very important. Like sometimes you'll get like in Nova Scotia Power comes in Excel. Some mortgage brokers will send you finance letters in Word
Yeah.
documents,
Yeah.
right? Or it's a TIFF or whatever. You can't do that. You need to get it into PDF. And I don't want you having that agitated. Why in the heck is .loop not working? It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm trying to send this thing out.
You can download it though to your computer and change it, right?
Yes.
So you don't have to. Yes.
Yeah, you have to. You can't do it in email.
Right, okay, so you can download it and do it, you don't have to print it.
Okay, so there are basically, I don't tend to, there's three options that you see here in terms of how you get a document in here. First one is computer, second one is templates, third one is email. We are not going to talk about the email option today.
It is our 911 in case we have a weird tech issue. We don't teach it because it's weird and it's a wrong way around things, but it's there as a backup, so we're just gonna pretend it's not there for now. Okay? So if you ever had like an absolute panic, I cannot get something to upload, you would call Erin, hopefully not me, but you can call me and I will walk you through it, or Dotloop, and they might tell you to use that feature, and that's what they're talking about.
I've only seen it muted once, and it was.
Yeah, but otherwise we're just gonna pretend it's not there, because it's a long way around.
It's never the easiest,
No,
simplest way.
It's not the solution, okay? So computer, now I live in Macworld, which means I drag and drop things, right? I don't open directories and pull stuff. So there's different ways to get there, but the end result is that when you're pulling it from your computer, pardon me, it means it's something you've pulled out of your email or you created and you saved it somewhere and you need to get it from there into Dotloop. However that magically happens based on the type of device you're using. This is not for iPad. I will show you the iPad way in just a second, okay? This is from a desktop or a laptop, okay?
It has to be saved on your computer.
You can't just pull it out of an email. Won't work.
Or out of web forms.
No.
You have to download. You can fill it out in web forms, but then you must download it, save it.
Yeah. So the first place is your computer. So I don't ever actually click computer because I live in my happy Mac world. So I'm going to find something. Okay, so let's look at something really exciting. Let's look at the January education calendar as the document we're going to pretend is a something. Okay? Because it just has to be a PDF. We'll imagine it's an offer. Okay? So in my world, or anybody else that's on a Mac world, I just do this and drag it, and it.
We can also do that.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Excellent. So the first thing you're going to see is when you look at the document in your list is it's bold. And then over here you have the status that says not shared. So if it's bold, that means I haven't touched it yet. Haven't done anything with it. It's in a purely raw format. So you don't, if you have documents listed in here that are bold and not bold, you'll know which ones you've started to edit. Then you have to go back and look at them all. Because if they're bold, you haven't touched them, and if they aren't, you haven't. Does that help? Yep. The status of not shared will tell you where it's at, or if it's awaiting signatures, it's your quick reference guide as to what's happening with the deal, and we're going to see that as we do something else. Okay? So I've got my document in here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, and it's going to open it up. So let's imagine it was not a sideways document, and it was an agreement. It doesn't matter, okay? This could be tax bills, this could be an inspection report, this could be a PCDS you received, it could be a location certificate, it could be covenants, it could be any number of things that you want to send over to a client. We try, and are we perfect at it 100% of the time? No. Are we tightening our procedures to make sure it is 100% of the time? Yes. We as a team prefer to send taxes, covenants, information, receipts, anything we've received from a client through Dotloop, because then I know they got it. When I send it by email, I have absolutely no proof that they've seen it, opened it, viewed it, acknowledged it, and can fully deny that they ever got it. Because then you're into the she said, well, I sent you the email, I never got it. Well, in the activity log in Dotloop, it's going to show me that not only did Holly see it, but she opened it and she viewed it.
And a liar.
And you're a liar, it's a fire. Now, depending on what it is, we've gone a step further on several transactions where we've requested that our clients initial them. They don't go anywhere except into the office file. Like, I'm not sending the initial power costs to the lawyer. It's not a part of the file. Like, I don't need to do that. But in my file, it shows that Holly signed it. So Holly is never going to be able to say to me, oh my God, I didn't know what these power costs were, and oh my God, how so expensive. I'm never going to hear that. Also, if the documents are in the loop and they have free access to their loop from now till kingdom come, which they do, and they call you and go, I can't find my this, and do you have a copy of this? Oh yeah, don't you remember they're in your loop? Oh yeah, that's great, perfect, okay. It becomes virtual
So
storage.
they have a loop too. I'm not thinking about what they're doing.
Yeah, they have a permanent file storage of their transactional.
Even if we could just delete.
Yeah, they could. But it's in there.
Yeah.
The other big thing that's important for you guys to know is there's no file size limits in Dotloop. So have you ever sent an email and the thing bounces back?
Yeah.
will never ever happen in .loop. It does not matter how big the file is, because it's not actually being sent, it's being downloaded on their end. So you never have to worry that it's a huge file, or you've exceeded their mail capacity. Not a problem.
So you could actually send a
Condo documents.
On the
yeah,
declaration.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But like an inspection report or something, you could just loop that right.
And we do that. So when we do an inspection amendments,
Mhm.
we pull apart the pieces in PDF Expert or in various other programs to pull out the relevant pieces of the inspection report we want. We highlight them on the computer and do what we want, and then we have those initialed and attached, and it's a permanent piece of the file, and then I know it went. We've had deals where, again, there's an incredible amount of paperwork provided, and I want to make sure that it's very clear that client made an informed decision. They were definitely given X or Y, or there's weird things about use of the property or blah, blah, blah. I have their initials on that document in my loop. My arse is covered.
But even if you don't have their initials, you have that they at least opened it,
Yes,
right?
but if you're gonna bother, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest, if you're gonna bother
Have an
sending it
initial,
through
yeah.
.loop, it takes like a second to throw an initial on it. And then not only do you have that they viewed it, but they understood it and agreed to it because they initialed it. If you're gonna bother, like honestly, I'd stick an initial on. That's just broker advice, that's not .loop advice. Okay, does that help so far? So if we look at the power bars across the top, because again, this is the really fundamentals of how we work in this program, is we've got add signature, add text, and then other actions. So that's where you're starting. Like when you've uploaded something, this is where you start, okay? So add signature is fine, but we have very few documents that don't also require an initial, okay? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna mark up this document to show you some of the things that you're typically gonna use, and then we're gonna share it with Allison, we're gonna get it signed back and see what that looks like, and then I'll quickly show you a couple things on the iPad, and that'll probably be where we'll wrap up for today. Okay, are we good so far? Okay, so under other actions, this is very important. Add initials, add date, add name, add checkbox. I don't know what a radio button is. Add strike through, don't know what shortcut keys are, never used them, never had any interest in finding out what they are, so we're gonna move on.
I have a question.
Yep.
Sometimes also third thing with certain documents when you add them from outside.
We cannot hear you, you're mumbly.
Sometimes when you do a document, the add checkbox is not there sometimes. So I'm wondering, is there a way to add that feature when it's not showing?
I've never had it not show up. If you're not having it show up, I would call Erin, there's something going on with your file.
Oh, okay.
So she's saying when she's clicking add checkbox, the
No,
checkbox
it wasn't
is-
in the drop-down menu,
Under other actions.
under other actions.
Oh,
Okay,
And I
so,
just want to point out that a lot of the other actions is what the premium account is giving you. Like other .loop members cannot add the strike through, they cannot add checkboxes.
so if you're talking to another agent at another brokerage, and you're saying, well, just mark it up in .loop and send it over to me. You might want to ask them if they have premium or not premium, because they may not be able to do the same things as you. It's you're all special here at KW.
yeah, so
It's way more money than premium.
can we try when you're marking it all up to do that strike through? Just
Yes, I'm gonna show you. Hold your breath. We're good. Okay. Maybe don't hold your breath, take a breath. Okay, so under other actions, so first of all, let's add text. Okay, so let's imagine this is, it's unlikely in a buyer deal, but let's say it's a counter offer and you want to type in, you've struck out the price and you're writing in a new price unofficially without resending a new offer and a new price. That was, again, not to broker telling you that one. So if I click on add text, okay, what'll happen is it's big, as however you want it. So I'm gonna type in here.
That one is good for amendments when you want to
Yeah.
put it in that blank spot.
Yes.
Where you're adding extra.
But you can play with the sizing of it. Now, one thing you have to notice, so do you see the red line going down this, it's not even red on your screen. This line right here is red when you're in .loop. Okay, for some reason it's showing up as gray up here, but this is red. This is the do not cross line, okay? If I try to save this and drop this over here, it won't
See how it won't go? You can't go past the boundary. You also can't overlap two functions at the same time. They have to like touch. So if you're trying to drop two text boxes in two different places, they have to like seamlessly touch on their borders or they won't let you do it, okay? So don't get overly agitated.
So would it be easier than to add one text box, do your little yabba dabba, and then go back up and add another text box?
It depends on the form. I
Yeah.
can't tell you that. It depends on the form. Okay. So here's my, yada yada text. So then I can go add signature. I'm going to actually add signature after. So under other actions, I'm going to do add initials. Now, do you see what changed once I did that? Does anybody see?
No, do it again.
I can't. No, it doesn't work that way.
It added it to the top.
Bingo. Yes. Then it lets you store three
Oh.
functions.
Oh.
So if I had made it, and I start using that, if I switch to strike through, that's going to be the other option it dumps in the top for me. So when you go to add a ton of initials, you don't have to keep going to the drop-down menu every time to get them.
Did not know that.
Okay, so here I can go, so right now I have my initial box that it's going to go, now see I can't go over here, well let me do that. But I'm going to put my initials, so let's say underneath the piece I just added. So now, the next part here is right over here. It says assigned to anyone right now. There's no name. But if I click on the little, there's a little tiny black arrow, which you won't see until you go. When you hit on that, it's going to drop down the people that I've added to my loop at the beginning. So this makes it easier to then prepare the document to share it, because I'm going to assign the signatures and the initials as I prepare the document. Yes, Erin?
Just if you did not add people at the beginning,
Yeah.
add person is the last option.
Is the bottom here.
So you can also type in their name and email address now.
There.
It is easier to do it at the beginning.
But there's not, you don't have to go back out of your
Yeah.
loop, out of your
But
document.
if you forgot someone, you can do it from in here.
Yes. So I'm going to add Allison as I'm going to assign this to Allison. So especially when you have more than one person, and you see the two boxes, and then you see both sets of initials that it's assigning to it, it helps you to know that you've gotten everybody everywhere they're supposed to go.
It also helps them on the other end, because it's like the husband and wife, and they know where to sign, and
Yeah.
it's two
Well,
different emails.
Yeah, exactly. So here it's assigned to Allison. So other actions I can do is I can add a checkbox. So let's imagine it's an amendment to an agreement of purchase and sale, and I need to add that tick in the, the person receiving the amendment has to select whether they accept it or reject it or blah, blah, blah. I can drop my text, my checkbox wherever. You can make it bigger by dragging on the corner. Can't make it much bigger, but you can make it bigger. And then to tick it, I just click inside it and bingo, I have a check.
So you check it, they don't.
We check it.
But
Now
also,
you can make it fillable. So the PCDS,
you can assign it to them.
yes, you can assign it for them. If I untick it, I can assign it to Allison, and then when she goes through it, it'll ask her to tick the box as she goes. 99% of the time when you're sending an amendment, you know what your client's going to. If you're drafting it, it's very unlikely, but you can do it that way. Okay? So other actions was the strike through. So imagine that my writing is not perpendicular to to what you're doing. You drop your strike through, and the same thing, you can move it when you get the four crossy things and drag it wherever you need to drag it.
So for instance, if you wanted to strike out
You can't do a Z,
no, but
Full paragraph.
yes, that's thank
Yeah,
you.
you have to do
a series of
each
lines.
line.
Free off, really? So you can't like
No.
make it bigger and it doesn't.
No.
Okay,
No. But you can make it longer. Okay?
Use the whole length. Like,
You should be able to drag the
Yeah.
corner and
I know.
Yes.
Not yet. I mean, but you know what? There's an improvements thing you can email into .loop and go, oh, you know what? This would be great if we could turn the angle of my strike through line, right? Nobody tells them. I'm pretty sure they're not going to think
You could highlight the whole paragraph.
Yes.
So you're talking about if you're buying a bank repo, you strike out the PCDS, is that what you mean?
No, I'm talking about the new rule that we have, that any clause that does not pertain to anything has to be either Z'd out or striked out, right? So if you're doing dot loop, you can't do a Z, so you have to strike out every little line, right?
Or, yes, so for example, properly converted or not
Right.
converted, the one that's not converted, whichever one you choose,
Yeah.
the other one has to be.
And what I would do in that case with a giant long paragraph like that is I would strike through the initial boxes and initial on either side.
Okay, so you wouldn't strike through the whole.
Oh.
I'd shoot
You'll
myself.
be there for a long time.
I'd shoot myself.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. Okay, so, okay.
Okay, but generally speaking, you can do, like, generally you're not preparing documents like that necessarily in here. You might have done those in PDF Expert or in, there's different programs that are easier, and then you can upload that as a PDF pre-done. That's faster, and then add your initials. It would be faster in that circumstance if you were doing a bunch of striking out. I would upload it into PDF Expert, which is available on computers, or there's got to be something else that's,
With that Primo,
no, that's a conversion.
You could also just print it, strike it,
Scan it, whatever.
scan it,
Like,
and then.
but you can do it in PDF Expert, and then upload that PDF and start putting your initials in. That would be the easiest thing. Would be to just in PDF Expert draw Z, and then upload that as a flat PDF to start adding your initials. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just seems like a lot of steps, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay, so your strike through is literally to strike out text. Okay, it's not meant to completely obliterate all of the words in the text. It's not that thick. But once there's a line through it, it's clearly struck out, and once it's initialed. So if you add a strikeout, well, of course, we have to add initials. Now, remember how we assigned on the top left? You can also assign at the bottom. It drops down out of your little boxy things, because I'm so technical. Now, let's imagine this is a buyer designated agreement, and I need to sign it and initial it too.
You add yourself.
Well, you're already yourself, because you're.
No, but you add.
No, you don't need to add yourself. You're already there. You're automatically there. Okay? So I can go sign now, and it's going to come up.
And it'll automatically be you.
Now, in our world, it's actually, like, our account is DeSilva Goss. So what we do, because our situation is different, and this is what Allison's team and the Murphys would do, is if I go in here, so let's say I'm Roy preparing this. Hello. Oops, why did it do that? Did I spell it right?
So,
Or-
is this what Kim was talking about?
No. No. Or let's say, for example, I get a lot of this where people send me and they spell my name wrong. So I can go in and correct it, and it'll change it.
I sent one of these through when I just started using it, which was not long ago. And I forgot to have the conversation with my client, it was only one amendment. He didn't sign it, and then I called him and said,
Excuse me.
why did you sign that? And he said, because it didn't look like my signature.
Right,
So
so you
always
need,
have that conversation.
always have that conversation that you'll never have had as beautiful a signature in your life,
Yeah.
okay? Now, they do have the option to draw their signature, which I always tell them not to do, because it looks like it's horrible,
Yeah.
chicken scratch, because drawing with a mouse is very difficult. But they have that right to do that, and you don't need to explain that. So adopt and sign. So now ADS has signed it.
On an iPad, can they do it on your touchscreen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are some of my things here. So then you've got the ability to download and print, host in-person signings, split the documents, etc. We're not going to get into all of that today because that's a whole other place. Okay. So what I want to go through is say, okay, so this is now my document. I'm going to add my add signature somewhere. Let's assuming this was whatever it is. So I'm going to sign it to Allison. So it says Allison sign here. When she gets the document, that's what she sees. Okay. So then you have a couple of different options. You can press save in the top left. If I'm doing a big document, I'm going to make a very strong recommendation. Click save a few times as you go through, or you're going to have to redrop all your boxes if you lose it.
Like a brokerage agreement,
Do it as you go, okay? If you're doing multiple documents and you're not you've made them as individual documents. Like you received a PCDS, you received this, you received a counteroffer. You may not have merged them into one PDF, so they're actually separate files in that folder list. So I may be going back into my loop and now prepping another document. Personally, I don't share documents one at a time in a series of 10 emails with clients. I think that will freak them out. I also think they miss stuff. Okay, so I tend to share all of the documents at once, but they might be separate documents. Still lose you there?
Yeah, you lost me.
Okay, so let's say you've got 5 documents that you need to send a client. An amendment, an inspection report, a tax bill, an offer, a counteroffer. I don't know, just whatever, name documents. You could merge them into one PDF on your computers or in,
Can we do that the next training session?
if somebody reminds me, yeah, because I won't remember, but yes. Or you might send them as individual documents because I'm going to share them differently. So I'll give you an example. I don't merge my documents. When I send it off, like if you're a buyer, so Holly, you're my buyer, and I've sent you a buyer designated agreement, I've sent you a working with a realtor, I've sent you APS Part 1, APS Part 2, and let's say well and septic. I want those as 5 documents, because at the very least, no more than 3 documents, no less than 3 documents. I might merge APS Part 1, APS Part 2, and water to be one document. But if I've merged my WWR and my BDBA as one,
Right.
then before I can share it, the offer with the other realtor, I now have to split my PDF apart.
Right. You're not saying.
Because I'm not sending them my working with a realtor and my buyer designated.
Right.
So sometimes it seems like it makes no difference to the client whether they sign 4 different documents at once or
But
one
it's
big
one
document.
email, right?
It's still
Yeah,
one
one
email with all the documents in it, and
Right.
it merges them. They see it as one big document because they come in order.
Okay.
They don't even realize they're in more than one document. But for your purposes, your life will be easier if you can ping individual documents to places.
So are those then folders you create?
You can, right? You could create an agency document, you could whatever you want, right?
So then would it make sense for, like, say, a training session, would it make sense to actually write an offer?
Yeah.
And then you can show us kind of.
Sure, absolutely.
that's-
Does that make
that'd be
sense?
Yeah, and that's the next stage.
My fear is sending the agent something I'm not supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, we can schedule that, like, if you guys are here today, I'll grab up my calendar, we can pick a date right now today before you leave, okay? With some challenges with my schedule, but we can do that, okay? But the idea is, that's what I want to have happen in this course, is that we're I can't do a set curriculum, it's impossible, because it depends on who's here,
Yeah.
right? And what do you need next? You know, are we doing purely an iPad session? Like, what the heck are we doing, right? So it's working through those challenges, because there's a lot to this, but it just gets easier the more you use it. And yes, trial and error, and yes, some stuff we found out, you know, like Erin, I couldn't search that way. Like, we're learning as we go. I am not like a trained .loop person. I just know it because I've been using it for a long time. I was using it 6 months before I came to KW. We had it at Chalet Realty. So I actually knew it before I got here. So I just, and we actually had researched signature programs and had found it prior to coming here, and it was really convenient that it was the same program that was here. Okay, so let's say I was going to go back in and do another document. I could then click back at the top left.
Saved that.
I saved it. I'm going to click back. Now this will happen. It'll warn you before you do stuff. Warning, do you want to share this right now, or do you actually want to go back into your loops? So I want to say, no, I don't want to share it. I'm going to go back into my loop, and maybe I have another document listed here. So do you see now that it's not bold? That means I've prepped the document. So if I had another document working with a realtor or whatever, okay, I go in, I edit those documents, I prep them.
But now, before, when it was bold, it was just bold, and then it just said not shared.
Right.
Now it's not bold, and it actually has the red share.
Because I
So,
added signature
right,
options.
so that gives you another,
In theory, yeah, it
right,
does
say,
trigger you.
oh, right, I did save that, but I just haven't shared it yet.
I just want to add something too. There over to the right of the document, right? There's that red drop down arrow.
Yes.
You can rename the document, because if you download something from
Web
Forms, it's
It-
called
Kit
Kitform.
form 14,
Oh, I
Kit
know.
form
Yeah.
15, Kit
So-
form 15.
Oh, good.
You can rename. If you don't rename it on your computer beforehand, you can rename it. in
Yeah.
here.
Or if you upload a scanned document from the machine, it's Xerox, blah, 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 blah. I like my things to be offer.
Yeah.
Counter
You know, when
offer.
I download to my computer, I change the name.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you receive a document, like let's say you get an inspection report and the inspector has called it blah 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 code X SJ whatever, and I'm like, I want to call it inspection report 1 2 3 test read.
Melissa must be cursing me because I think all of ours say kit form right now. She's probably going, oh my god.
I could never find anything. I'd have to
No,
go
I
into
know.
every frickin' document to find it. I have zero attention span for that stuff. So in here you can open, rename, copy to history. So we're going to talk about the archive list in just a second because I'm off time here. I apologize. Print, download, the signature verification. So this is going to be when we are looking for those. This is where you're going to find it. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this because we're only actually doing one document. Okay, so now I am going to click the big red share button on the far right side, and I'm going to send this to Allison.
Why couldn't you hit the red button out on the front?
Oh, I could have. Yes, you could have. But sometimes you go back in and you want to add something or check it like before you're like officially.
Yeah, that's what I would
You know,
do.
I'm a double checker, right? Did I get all my boxes? Whatever. And of course, the beautiful thing about this is clients never ever miss a box because you can't do this and not completely sign it.
Exactly.
If you inserted the box, they're signing it.
Yeah.
If you didn't insert the box and you missed an initial because you didn't insert the box, well, you didn't insert the box, okay? But nobody's missing anything. So I'm going to click share. So now it's going to come up and it's going to say how many fields are assigned. So this is important. If you have 2 people and one person says 10 fields and one person says 11, then somebody doesn't have as many boxes as the other.
So we're, 2 field. I don't think I've ever noticed that.
So if you have a couple and you don't have the same number,
Yeah.
you need to cancel, like click close here on the X, go back into your document and find where you missed a box.
Start over.
No, you don't have to start over. You just have to add the box, okay? But it's a great clue to show you if you pay attention to it, okay? So then it says consign. Okay, you guys see that? So here it says you have different options. You have view only, consign, can fill and sign, you can edit in private.
What's can fill and sign mean?
So view only is typically what you're sending to other agents. Here's my offer. I'm giving you no authority to fiddle with my document. Okay? You are looking at it and that's all you're doing it. Okay? Consign, they can sign. That one was complicated. So can fill and sign is what you use if you're sending a PCDS in our templates, for example, to your clients for them to complete online, which we do. They can tick the boxes
So
and
they
type
can complete it in dot loop.
and sign it and complete it and send it back. It is magical. Ouch! Oh, I think my necklace is bigger. It's magical, like unbelievable the difference that made because we're
Do you
not.
have to go in and do all those little check boxes though?
Well, there's no checkboxes
I did
anymore.
it for you.
Well, she fixed it. But now we have the new form.
I know I did that one too.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't looked at that new form yet.
But if you upload it from the templates, all the boxes are there.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh,
Templates on dot loop.
Yes. Okay. So can fill and sign, can edit in private is a massive ability to completely rewrite your document. I highly recommend you never use that.
Yeah. Unless you really trust that agent not to do anything, but
I
Oh
don't
my
like it.
God, no.
yeah,
I don't like it.
it's
So
not good.
those are, we're going to pretend that one's not there either. Okay.
You may have used that before you got your new email, like sharing with Richard.
We're not going to talk about what I did there.
Just don't use it.
No, that was part of the problem, was that we had added to team is what we did, and it
I
was,
just can't even think of a scenario where that would be used.
well, the theory is that you're having someone draft the counteroffer back or edit it, but maybe that's a US thing where they let them do it, and we're not doing it, okay? So I'm going to let her sign, and I'm going to click share. And now, every time you do something, it comes up with a big yellow thingy. Your document has been saved, your document has been shared. So now it's saying your document has been shared, and now the status has changed to waiting. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm done. I don't have anybody else to share it with. I go back to my loop. I am waiting on others. So Allison is going to receive her email. She's going to sign it for me. And it's going to then tell me that it's signed. If I have my notifications all turned off. It might come up on my iPad. You're getting them that she's signing?
Oh, I put my do not disturb on mute, so I listen to my babies. But it will show up on your devices, and any devices that are connected, so it'll show up on your phone, it'll show up on your email, it'll show up on your iPad. Sometimes you're getting it from like a whole bunch of places at once, okay?
And also the email that Allison just got says from the Silva Goss group.
Yeah.
Not from .loop, so your clients aren't like, what's .loop, and just read it.
And that's where putting your face in is important. So now I just refreshed because of what we're doing. So now it says signed. Thank you, buyer client.
You're welcome.
So now, do you notice something else that's changed? Oh,
It's dark again, isn't
It's
it?
bold again,
Yes.
because the status has changed. So now I would know that so I've had it happen where I've sent 4 or 5 documents to a client and one's signed, one's unsigned. It's all about the visual triggers. So when I click on this to go look at it again, I'm going to see Allison's initials and her signature right here. Okay? Everybody good so far? Now, if I had, Mary, the other agent on the other side, this is now where I can share it with her and write my nice little message. Now, when I sent that email to Allison, it was the first document we had done. I would have written, or it's the offer, here we go, so exciting, we'll call for questions, like I would have added like
A book.
a yada yada.
Yeah.
You didn't get any yada yada. No yada yada today. Okay, so now at the top here, this is your signature verification. So that piece has to be present on all documents you submit and receive. If you receive an offer from somebody, I don't care what authentication program they're using, if you see signatures like this and you don't see a barcode across the top, they've copied it or done something wrong and you're missing it, so you should have it. They all have it. DocuSign, everybody else has it, okay? So if I click on this, it's gonna open up a new page. This is the page we're talking about that we're gonna want from you.
I want to re-explain that.
Oh, sorry. So it's gonna come, you're gonna get a memo. So exciting, I'm gonna get a memo. To tell you what the commission is looking for. They're basically looking for this signature page when you're sending and receiving offers to make sure that they're actually legit programs and not people just winging stuff on their iPads. Okay? So here it shows that Allison Godso initialed it at January 22nd, 2016, 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The time zone is there, so please pay attention to the time zone. It's not ours. Okay? The IP address, the security level it was email verified, which means she had to sign into her private secure email to get in here to do it versus just something else. And she has accepted the terms of the agreement, etc. So it's all there. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay, so that's its own browser window. So I'm going to go back to my document. So I'm going to go back into my loop because I just want to show you a couple quick features before we wrap up today. So up at the top right, it says activity log. So that's going to give me the activity log for the entire loop. So if you have a whole bunch of documents in there, so I'm going to, I closed my Safari one. It'll show, well, I can go in here. So it shows the Silva Goss group created one for your test group. Silva Goss group invited Allison Godso to the loop. Silva Goss group changed the loop transaction type to purchase. The Silva Goss group added the document. I viewed the document. We signed the document. We modified the document. We viewed the document. I shared the document. Allison viewed the document. Allison signed the document, and then I viewed the document again. If I had sent a message in this loop, it would show that. If you're the other agent, I'll see when you edit, so I'll give you an example. We had a challenge yesterday with .loop. We don't know what happened. We had sent 2 documents out, and we were on .loop. We don't know what happened. Turns out it's the email on the other side. The reason we hadn't heard back from agents on our deals, on the amendments, and we're like, oh, right, like these people are usually right above. We checked in, and they hadn't even viewed it. So then we called, and they're like, we didn't get it. So there's something going on in their email end because it wasn't a .loop end, right? But that can happen. But we knew that because we hadn't seen that they viewed it.
So you went into your activity.
We went in before I called to stop them to go, I'm at the 11th hour. Where's my freaking answer or counter offer?
I had a client once who viewed it, and that was it. And like I waited and waited and waited. I was like, why? She looked at it. All she had to do was sign it. Like she must have got distracted or something.
Or they thought that by doing it,
Like
they've
they're
done it.
stalking them. I saw you view that.
Yeah, so.
Sign it, damn it.
Well, an example that I give you is that, I mentioned this at a couple of different training classes, and some of you have heard it before, but, I did a deal last year, the year before, I don't know, sense of time anymore. And we had an amendment with a water system that had to go, it had to be done in closing. And we had shared the amendment and shared the quote and everything that was attached to the amendment in Dogwood. The other agent didn't sign it back through Dogwood, which is fine, it doesn't matter. Pre-close inspection comes. The water system is like some other thing. Like this was a $4,000 thing, this was like a $300 thing. You know, blah blah blah. We had, of course, we had a good clause. So we had a holdback and provisions and blah 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 blah. So on closing, the agent tried to pull the, well, I didn't get that quote, so my client put in what he thought was acceptable to fix this condition. We pulled up our activity log. The agent had viewed it. The agent had viewed the quote. We screenshot this, we sent it to the lawyers, money was released in 10 minutes.
Now, I wonder if, would you suggest having that agent initial that quote?
It depends on the circumstances of what you're doing, but there was the agent pulled the, well, I didn't get it.
Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah,
he got caught.
Yeah.
baloney, is not the word I used. So, there are deals you do where you do not trust the other side. Let's be honest about it. Let's just pretend that that's not the world we live in, but it is what it is. When you want to know 100%, now think about it from a compliance perspective, that the commission wants you to keep notes and records, and when did you send this, and when did you do this, and did the client actually get that tax bill? And they're always going to slide on the side of the poor little buyer, the poor little sellers, or the big evil realtors. So when you've got a record that you sent it, you shared it, they initialed, they sent it back, yeah, you're done. Like, game over. And it's not to take it from the perspective of being litigious, but if you're trying to protect your client, and a seller's supposed to have done something, and whatever, and you're a buyer, and you want to make, whatever it is, it's a complicated deal, or it's an as-is, where is, or whatever, you sent them something, and they've signed it, or viewed it, or initialed it, they cannot possibly claim that you did not do your job. And it's all in here. You can also pull up, if I go back to my loop, oh, did I lose it again? What the hell did I do? Did I seriously lose my loop again?
How'd you get that last time?
I did activity log.
Well,
There we
that's
go.
odd.
I don't know what it's doing. Okay, so in here, under the little red arrow to the right that Erin was talking about, if I click on here, I will get the history of the particular document. So sometimes you're not interested in looking at the whole history. You want to know what's happened with that particular document, and you can do it document by document. Okay? Does that help everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost foolproof too, because you can't really move ahead with anything unless it's filled out properly.
Yes. So then if I'd received this back and I wanted to share it with the office, you might decide, instead of worrying about your file size or whatever, that you're going to just scan in your file. Like say you got it back from the other side by email, and you want to you upload it into your loop, and then you can share it with listings or share it with sales, and then you have a record, you sent it in, and we know you've got it. And it doesn't matter how big the file
So you
is.
come back to us and you say, we never got this,
We always,
so say.
if you
No,
say
they
you
don't
did,
do that.
if you say you sent it by .loop, then we go after Erin. Just being honest.
There's 1,000 loops.
Yeah, and I do need to make sure you guys understand, I mentioned this at the sales meeting, but I will mention it again quickly, is we had a lot of times people go, well, it's in my loop. Okay, we are not looking at your loops. Is there a way to show, can I log in as you here?
You can see what my account looks like.
So all that's happening is sales or listings are opening the link as if they were a client.
And is that why we should probably add Cindy or something? Can we do it that way?
Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning.
I missed the first 2 minutes.
That's okay. So if you have 100 loops in your account, times 112 agents.
Yeah.
That's what Aaron's got.
I could go
If you think we're
probably for the
spending
rest
all
of the day.
digging around in loops, I would hate to pee on your rainbow, but that's not what's happening.
That's why I was really excited. I just found the search function.
So if you say you sent something, we'll go looking for it, but otherwise, we're not in your loops. We have not the time, nor the interest, nor the inclination to be in them. So if you're asked to reshare something, this is why. Because we have thousands of loops to pick from. So every loop you've ever created that didn't even go anywhere, we've got them.
Yeah, every test loop that you
Bananas.
just made, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got the one I did test for Jerry?
We got them all. Okay. Okay. So we're an hour and a half. Brains are going to start to leak. Adult learners, we need to stop.
Can we set a date for the next?
Let's set a date right now. To say that my calendar is complicated would be the PG version.
So we're gonna go through an offer and.
Yeah. And you guys tell me what you want to do, and we'll be ready.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that's a great idea.
I found what we learned today was very
So they
good.
they can see my
That's all
calendar.
playing around
When you
with it.
really, yeah.
But, like,
Holy.
I'm still nervous to the point of doing up an entire offer on who to share, how to add, what to
Yeah,
send.
but you can't, Derwin, you can't really share it with anybody unless you click on it.
No, but it's.
No, but he's not sure he's
it's-
prepping it right. And
Yeah.
That, it's prepping, is what I
Yeah.
want.
Okay, so
That's, okay. Oh, that's.
Like, when she say put,
this is my calendar.
create more than one folder and stuff like that, that's what I personally want.
Yeah, folder stuff, yeah.
Okay, well, if you guys want, I'm teaching at Derwin's request. I'm teaching everything you would like to know about multiple offers,
Yes.
so that you don't get sued, and you handle them properly and make lots of money. Next Wednesday at
So that means I
2.
gotta show up, is it?
I'm expecting your ass in the chair. Let's be
Okay,
honest.
So what date was that again, sorry? No, that's.
I can do Thursday at 11:30, the 28th, or I can do 3:30.
Well, like, we're in January.
Yeah, but I think your brains might bleed after multiple offers.
Yeah.
I could do 11:30 to 1 on the 28th. Pack your lunch, come in.
All right. Sounds good.
Alternatively,
I'll just learn another time.
I can do.
You're never gonna get it.
I can do 1. I can move this one. I can do 1 o'clock on the 1st, Monday the 1st.
I can imagine for it.
Your problem over there.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
At what time, sorry?
1 o'clock on the 1st would probably be easier because I'm not coming from another appointment to that, if that works for you guys.
Yep.
Is that okay for everybody?
February.
February 1st.
So this is going to like death coming in?
Yes,
What's going on out
it's
there?
too demanding up there. There. Erin, can you send out an email about that for me? About another classes? So we're gonna say 1 to 2:30. Is that okay for everybody? On February 1st.
And buy lunch, yes.
Do you want me to say that it's to go through an offer?
Yes, to go through, actually walking through the steps of writing an offer, writing a listing agreement, whatever you guys
Creating
want.
folders.
And
So,
creating
You'd
folders.
be doing that another time.
We also record this, although I honestly can't imagine listening to me try to explain, like listening in when you can't see, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
hard.
It's hard to rewatch it because we do save them and they do go
You
on.
see the computer screen.
Oh yeah, oh that would work too because it's on, we save them on YouTube.
Okay.
So you can also do it
And
there.
you can fast forward to the part that you want.
Except you don't know what I want, because you never know what I'm gonna say. So, okay, so I'm gonna press, do I press stop recording now? How do I do that?
It's at the top.
Okay, I'm gonna let you do that.
No, look, you were just on it.
Oh, is that?